What's up, you guys? Chet Guthrie with What the Chet here, coming to you all from Dream Poet Media Studios. Here where I do all my videos for DPM Gaming and my third channel, this one, What the Chet. Now, of course, I've got Dream Poet, and that's my main channel, but I go outside and I do a lot of awesome stuff there. But anyway, you guys, today I thought I would do a follow-up video. This is in response to my video that I made about being single for 10 whole years and what that was like. In that video, I talked about how some of the experiences that I have had has shaped my opinions not to voluntarily go into the dating scene. Just because of the culture, everything that's going on, it's made me question,
"Oh, SpongeBob, why?"
But I guess really that's neither here nor there in that. But anyway, you guys, I thought today we would talk about some of the experiences that I've had. Some of them are just too good not to share. Some of them will make you question why humanity is what it is, or maybe the collapse of Western civilization.
Maybe it's just because you're ugly.
It's as simple as that. But anyway, guys, some of these experiences that I've had, I will not be elaborating on the names behind these individuals, just for confidentiality purposes, or I will be using their first name. Either way, the reason why I'll be going with their first name on some of them is I just don't like them. And, I'm not going to put forth the effort or enough effort to really give them a code name or an anonymous name.
Things are gonna get crazy.
I know that probably sounds pretty bad. But after you hear some of these stories, you all will see what I'm talking about. And the first one that we will be talking about, this one happened when I was in high school, and this was my senior prom. And this girl we will refer to as Brandy. Now, Brandy was who I asked to go with me to prom, my senior prom. It was supposed to be a night of fun. It was supposed to be a glamorous night. It was supposed to be a night where, you have an amazing life experience. You dance with each other. If you're with, someone that, has a relationship, you get to kiss them. Share a very awesome moment, whether you all stay together or not. Well, Brandy, it starts out very simple. I meet her in gym class. I talk to her a bit. I like her. I find out that she's friends with a few friends of mine. And that's how we kicked it off. And one day, while we were in the lunchroom at my old high school, I asked her to prom. And I was happy with whom I asked. And I thought, it was going to be very good. But the first red flag that I got from this experience is I was trying to call her to get some information about what was going on. And when I called, I should say, after I called, I got a phone call from a number I did not know. And that phone number was her father's. According to him, she was getting her hair done, and he was to tell her what information that I needed to hear, like matching with clothing and whatnot, with my suit, corsage. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that sounds a little bit weird, but okay then. Well, it gets really weird when we get to the venue. Everybody starts dancing. People are listening to music. At first, I try dancing with my date, Brandy. And she gets a look of horror. A look of sadness and terror, and she walks away. Now, she will not talk to me at this moment in time, so I have to go through to my friend to ask what is wrong. My friend tells me that she does not want to dance, and I thought, okay. She attempts to dance with me again, and I try dancing with her as well. and she runs off. And for the entire night, she will not talk to me. Now, we did get our photos taken just because her family had paid for it, which I totally understood, and I pretty much just sat there the entire night dealing with somebody who was overall just very dramatic. Someone who, overall, I mean, the night was just a shamble. And right as we're walking out of the venue, she turns to me and says, "I'm sorry. I won't dance with you. I want to save my first dance with my husband on my wedding day." Kind of a weird explanation. And it gets even weirder as we're going home. Mind you, this is 2010. Not many people have GPS around this time. Well, my friend who is driving, he takes a wrong turn. We cannot find Brandy's apartment, and that is when Brandy starts swearing at me. "Well, how the heck did you know where I lived?" As if I was some kind of creep.
They went over the speed limit like an angry woman. They caused property damage like an angry woman.
And, well, mostly I didn't tell her just because she was so angry and I wasn't doing anything, to provoke. I just said, my dad knows his way around. We lived in this town my entire life. And previous to this time, Brandy, she lived in Florida. And she had moved to Cleveland just a couple of years before. And I just remember the fight that her and her mother had when we dropped her off. It was not a good night. A night that was supposed to be fun and friendly and a good night to remember. That was not it for me. And strangely enough, Brandy, not long after that, I found out through a friend that she turned out to swing for the same team. Or I should say she was a lesbian. Essentially that. And for a while, my friends would often joke that I could make a woman go gay. And that was the first experience that I wanted to tell you all about from my years in high school, just because it's too good not to share. And that's how we're going to go to the second one, which is another high school story, which is more of a bullying situation. Enough said in that. And that woman's name was Summer. And how all this begins is, actually it begins from my junior prom. That's how I got to know her. I thought she was a friendly individual, but then I had art class with her in high school, and at first I thought she was friendly. I was just trying to be, friends, what have you. And, well, I did not pick it up as bullying at the time, but her friends came together and they're like, "Oh, hey, Chet, she likes you. Why don't you ask her out?" And mind you, this was not like pulling me to the side, as speaking in private. This was in front of a class of about 20-something people. And at first, I kind of picked up that something was wrong. So I said, no, I think I'm just going to sit here. And they're like, "No, Chet, no." And Summer was like, "Yo, why don't you ask me out, Chet?" And I'm like, no. Eventually, I say yes, and this happens in front of about 20-something people. I get her phone number, or allegedly get her phone number, and then comes the day where we're supposed to hang out, and that's when I find out that she's been messing with me this whole time. She sent these really strange messages like, "How could you, Chet? I can't believe you." And I just, when I think back on that moment, I think that's where some of the cracks began to show in my way of thinking. I kind of just dropped it, went on about my day, and then about a week later, I was going through Cook's is a a grocery store that used to be here in Cleveland, Tennessee. And I meet this girl that I don't know. She works at the cash register, and she's like, "You're Chet, right? Chet Guthrie?" And I say, "Yes, of course." And I'm like, "Why?" She's like, "I'm friends with Summer. She's been texting off my phone. I'm really sorry." So this whole situation, and like I say, this whole situation, I probably should have acknowledged that, something was probably going on, because I remember my table mate in my art class, she made us mention, or I heard her say this to them, this group of friends, these two guys and Summer, that she was going to tell the professor what was going on, and she was going to report them. And well, they didn't seem all too that provoked or all that worried. And I think probably what opened my eyes is, after all this happened, they were bullying a girl in my class who had a learning disability. And one of the things that I remember is, this girl with this disability, she goes to the bathroom and they start opening her purse and they start digging through it, and then that's where they find that she had a CD player from the library, and she was listening to a CD that was from the library. Now, typically with stuff like that, usually you see it come from poor families. And I remember that day that they were really, really making fun of her because she was poor, because she said that she had an iPod. It was really screwed up. Mind you, this is 2010. This is when iPods were still a thing. And I also remember they had her dance in front of a camera, and they posted it, and I don't think she ever realized what they had done. A lot of people saw that, and they made fun of her. I mean, that's pretty sad that, you get made fun of just like somebody who has a learning disability. Although, I mean, technically I do have a learning disability as well. But Summer, I don't know what happened to her, and I'm kind of glad. She's one of those people that I much rather not talk about anymore. Yes, not at all. And going down the list, I have my third person that I thought about in this whole ordeal, and this happened back in 2017 and 2018. This is when I was a student at the University of Tennessee at Knoxville.
Dad, you really shouldn't have.
And like some of the other names that I have mentioned, her name was Alana. And now Alana, she introduced herself to me. She talked about her interest in journalism and the journalism field. She talked about how it was a calling and not really so much of a profession. She was the one who initiated the conversation. And at the time, I took that as her being friendly. And, maybe even she liked me. We did attend the same ministry building. I really don't like this ministry service anymore. It's actually why I don't like a majority of this certain denomination, but that's a different video for another day. But Alana, she introduced herself to me, and I tried initiating conversations with her. And I think probably one of the weirdest ones that I ever had is, we had a midterm for one of these journalism classes, and I talked to her, and she just had this really creeped out look on her face. It's almost as if I got two sides of the same coin. One side was really nice, really just a super nice, really appreciative person, polite individual. But then I turn around, I'd probably say like not even a few days from one another, and she acts like she's a deer in headlights. She doesn't want to talk to me. She acts kind of scared and afraid, and I don't know why. And I thought, well, maybe it's something that I did. I don't know. I can't read minds. So, over the course of a couple of years, I try staying in touch. I do see her a couple of times, and she seems really friendly when I do see her in these times. But it gets very weird around senior year of my time at UT. I have one more class for my journalism degree, and I remember I said hi to her. She was with her friends, and she just gave me this overall disgusted look. Like a look of, I hate you, I despise you, I think you're an ugly person. And I will see her again. I will talk to her a little bit more. And it always seems to be this really ugly attitude. Again, it's like the first time I meet her versus what I guess really I guess this is where I think about somebody putting up a front versus what they really are. And Alana was just an ugly individual, not physically. She was internally, she was an absolute monster. And I don't usually call somebody a monster unless it's very serious. Now, later on, this is what I will find out from a few of my friends. This happens near the end of, I was actually taking one of my final classes this day, and a friend of mine who has the same class with her is giving her a ride back to her apartment. And, my name gets brought up. And out of all this, I hear, oh, Chet is in love with me. Oh, he loves me so much. But I won't give him the time of day. He's a creep. He's fat. He has a gut. He's too clingy. And she continued to pour out these really ugly slurs to me in my name. And really, my friend who is giving her a ride home, she gives me a call after she drops her off. And she tells me exactly what all is said. And from what she says, she is crazy. And, that kind of solidified it how I think about Alana to this day. And later on, about 4 months after the fact, after I graduated, I figured out why she gave me such an ugly look that day when during the first day of class. And what had happened is she had walked past me with one of her friends, and she made fun of me for having a gut. As you all know, I am kind of fat. I am pudgy. But one of my friends, another name that I will not mention because I respect them, they called her a stupid bitch. From what I remember that my friend said to her, she says, "That is my friend, you stupid bitch." And the look on her face was incredibly dumbfounding. So, that is my story with Alana. And I still know a lot of people from my former college days that know her. And from what I have heard, Karma is very interesting, Karma has an interesting way of working. From what I understand, she's only been out of college for 5 years now, and she's already gone through a divorce. She has had a lot of these really, really good jobs within the media industry, but she can't seem to keep them. And it just seems like this is her ugly soul doing all this. So karma does work, and Alana is one of the few people that I know it's probably not good of me, but she is one of the few people that I still wish ill will on. And I know that's wrong of me. I don't like having ill will and ill intentions towards another person. But for her, somebody who is unapologetic, somebody who has no remorse, that's kind of psychotic. or maybe, what's the word, bipolar, probably somebody who has a lot of mental health issues that they won't acknowledge. But anyway, Alana is, no, like, I'm surprised that for those couple of years that I was in college, I don't know why I was attracted to such an ugly individual. I wasn't in love with her. I liked her, and I considered her a friend, but I was not in love with her. And that got really dark. I'm sorry, you guys. I didn't mean to do that. But I guess the topic is rather dark. Dark, yeah. But anyway, since we're talking about this kind of stuff, I'll talk about my former girlfriend. Now, my former girlfriend, I will not give her name, even though we had a really bad falling out and she was very abusive. I will not give her name. And I'll just say that she, well, maybe the best thing, maybe just call her Anne. I think Anne is the best way. We'll just call her Anne, and what I'm about to tell you all. And now, Anne, I met when I was at Cleveland State Community College back in 2012. At first, we dated for about a month, but she did have some issues, and that's what led me to breaking up with her. Now, we do get back together. We try making it work for about 7 months, but throughout this 7 months, it gets pretty bad. One of the things that I notice the first few months is if she did not get her way, she would run to her car and go home. And she wouldn't talk to me. Sometimes she would yell at me, cuss me out, and that's kind of what probably should have sent the first few red flags off in my mind. But there is one night in particular that I still remember that it still makes me very, very open, or not open, but very observant to my surroundings. And what had happened is that night, a friend of mine had asked his fiance to, well, girlfriend at the time, to propose to him, thus becoming his fiance. That was that night, and the first thing that really happened is my girlfriend's best friend, she had a dress, and everybody was dressing nice. Everybody was getting ready for this very special night. And well, my girlfriend at the time did not want to get dressed nice. She did not want to she wanted to stay to what she had on. She refused to wear a dress. She refused to dress nicely. And not only did that bother me, that bothered everyone in that entire group. And I think that's kind of where it started. Because I remember I tried sleeping in my sleeping bag that night, and she would wake me up, and then she threatened to say that she was self-check out, unalive herself. She had a bottle of pills, and she said that she had taken some, and I had said that I will call the emergency hotline if you have done that. Well, I tried getting it from her, but what she pulls out of her bag is a can of Axe, and she sprayed me in the face with it. Not once, but twice. And then she began to say, oh, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to drive around, and I'm going to wreck on purpose and unalive myself. Now, I follow her downstairs, telling her to not do that. Please don't. I have only had like maybe 4 hours of sleep within these 4 days. A lot of stuff had happened. This was right around finals. And, well, leaving me in my boxers at 4 a.m. in the morning, she drives off. I go upstairs. I'm freaking out. I tell my friend and his fiance, and they managed to get my girlfriend at the time Anne to calm down. It's like she totally would not listen to me. And the last thing that I remember is that she broke up with me. It was right around May, actually not that long ago from what I just told you all here on this camera. And anyway, she dumped off all my stuff. And I could go on quite a bit more about Anne and some of the things that had happened. But to this day, that's a big reason why I really look hard at people who I want to date. I mean, as I always have, but I'm sorry. Anne very much ruined dating for me. So I thought, she was my true love at that time, but love makes you do like really weird things, and I just don't have anything. I mean, I haven't had anything to do with Anne in over probably 10 years, 11 years, probably 10, well, almost 11 years, yeah. So, I don't know. She's just somebody that I don't really want to mess with. Well, when I say mess with, I really don't want to have any conversation or any conversation with. So, anyway, gosh, I'm having fun with this. I mean, I really don't want to make everything seem so dark. It's just like some of these stories will just make you question, why, what happened to humanity? What happened to good people? What happened to women that respected men? It makes me really think a lot. So, I think I'm probably going to close out this video. I'll probably make a couple of more of these in the future just because I have so many stories. And, well, the one to really close out this video is her name was Kaylee. And Kaylee is somebody, who I probably wouldn't really care giving out her full name, because there is a special place on my list for this individual. And Kaylee was somebody I met at the University of Tennessee. Kaylee, she was a president. She was the president of this intercollegiate program. It was a really interesting program. It was basically a program centered around chopping wood. Yes, there can be certain weird clubs that are out there that are collegiate wise, and this one was based on chopping wood. And now, at first, Kaylee seems very friendly towards me. However, as this semester progresses during this time, I notice that she seems to be rather more angry and more vindictive with each time I try to talk to her. And I remember I asked her friend, who was the secretary at the time, I just wanted to know what was wrong. And I sent this text to her friend, and about 30 minutes later, I get a very long, angry text from Kaylee that tells me, oh, you're a horrible person, you're a creep, stop asking people about me, yada yada this, yada yada that, oh, you're a creep, oh, this, ew, you're gross, stop it. Stuff that, I have already heard before in my life, and it's just me just being nice. But somehow, me being nice is an offense. Apparently, it's a cardinal offense within, I'm guessing, within several women's groups. But that's where it really began, and where I had my loss of trust in people. And actually, a funny thing too, that same friend of hers, we were at one of these chopping wood events in North Carolina, and I was told that I wouldn't need to provide my own sleeping bag. This individual who was her friend said she'd give me a winter grade sleeping bag. Turns out this sleeping bag, it was a spring. It was a spring bag. And if you are familiar with camping, you all will know there's a difference between spring bags and winter bags. Winter bags are meant to handle below zero temperatures. That didn't happen. I almost froze to death in North Carolina that night. But that's neither here nor there. That was Kaylee's friend. So, anyway, we'll follow up. We'll go about to the spring of 2015. I have to get a ride from her. At this time, I was not driving. And we have a good heart-to-heart. I explained to her what happened. She explained her side. And we came to what I thought was an understanding. I thought we had become friends. But then, around the next year, I hear from somebody that she has been speaking wrongly towards me, calling me creepy and fat and other things that I've heard before, and that made me very angry. So what I did on my end, this was before I came out of my shell. As you all have seen, YouTube has really made me a very congenial person. I like talking to people now just because I do it so much and I do so many awesome things. Well, I write a letter. I told her that it's confidential. I don't want it getting spread with anyone. And it was, I guess you could say, my resignation from that club, the Chopping Wood Club, if you will. And I don't hear anything that entire day, but then I get a pretty sad text message. Kaylee says, "Hey, I want to talk to you about what's been in this letter." I did not answer. I did not want anything to do with her. That letter that I wrote, that was supposed to be confidential, was supposed to be my resignation, from her, or ending my time in that club and ending my friendship with her because I saw that, she didn't want anything to do with me. So, well, anyway, I didn't answer. That same night, I get a message from her sister saying, "Hey, can you please talk to Kaylee? She's very upset. I really want you to talk to her. She feels bad." So I try arranging a time to just sit down and talk about it. And it wasn't in a private location where there weren't many people. This was an area, this was the library at the University of Tennessee. A lot of people coming and going. It's not a private area, and not a reason to get scared or get creeped out. And all I said is, "Hey, we'll talk about it here in the library. We'll get things figured out." Well, she turns around, she gets scared, and then she starts saying, "Hey, can you have a professor to mediate?" And for me, that was I guess for me, if you are somebody within that who is a president over a club or a group, I think you should really have the courage and the professionality to have a one-on-one conversation. So I said no. And, luckily that's how we stopped talking, period. And now, I will say her, now husband at the time, did send me a friend request over Facebook, and I didn't really think about it too much until he made a post about Kaylee. He and her had gotten married, and he was wishing her a happy birthday, and it was a photo of her and him. I put a laughing emoji, like a laughing reaction, just thinking, what the hell, why not? There's nothing that can really come about it, but I was mistaken. I got three messenger calls from him. Mind you, I was at work. I did not pick up. Well, mostly on purpose too. Anyway, I got a lot of angry messages from him over that one little laugh reaction. And then Kaylee comes into my direct messaging and she says, "Oh, I'm sorry." And there's just this really big, long, "I'm sorry. You know, you don't have to respond" sort of things. And I'm just like, you all are so easy to break. And why I say that is if you want to learn some things about anything, and you know, when I say the name of this book, no, I'm not sociopathic, but rather it can really teach you a lot, and that is the 48 Laws of Power. And that sort of thing just showed me that, you know, if I wanted to pursue the situation, I could do a lot of stuff, but I didn't answer. I unfriended her husband and I blocked him. I want nothing to do with him. And I left it as that. And so that is this video that I really wanted to tell you all. A lot of things that I hope you all, I mean, at first I thought, you know, the stories would be humorous. Like I thought that I'd find them humorous looking back, but I am mistaken. These stories are just as dark as they were then, as they are as dark as they are now. But anyway, guys, I'm doing, I mean, mind you, this is all like 10 years. You know, I don't really have any attachments to the people that I talked about tonight. You know, and that's, like I said, that's the reason why I've chosen to stay single for as long as I have, is it's just like, I mean, I'm not saying all women are. I got a lot of good women friends, but it just feels like the women of my generation, it seems like there has been a disconnect. And I don't know why it is. I mean, I will continue to respect and I will continue to be friendly. If you know who you are, you know who you are. You know, I have nothing against individuals. Anyway, but that is this video, you guys. I do apologize for taking down my my snow yaking video. It just didn't come out the way I thought it did, and I just had to take it down and put this up. But anyway, you guys, I'll probably put it up again one day. But anyway, love you all very much. Peace out, y'all. This video on What the Chet is over.